So Cody Zeller just went down for the Charlotte Hornets, which is too bad, because one, we don't want to see injuries, but it also sucks because Zeller has been a big deal for Charlotte's success the past couple of seasons, given what he can do on defense and as an athlete. And given that Charlotte is already having themselves a rough year, where they're currently 9-16, at what point is Charlotte going to be faced with the decision where they might have to trade their star player Kemba Walker? Because even if everything goes absolutely right for the Hornets, they're the 5th seed in the Eastern Conference? And if you look at Kemba's situation, well, he's a free agent after next season. Now, I don't know what Kemba's thinking is. Maybe he just wants to stay in Charlotte. He would re-sign and just stay there forever. And if that's the case, well then, okay. But you have to think that a guy who's, going to be 28 or 29 years old if he's entering free agency on a team that hasn't been good for a while, maybe he'd want to go somewhere else. And given where the Hornets are right now, I don't know if they can just flip it around. I mean, they have a lot of natural defensive players, and I think that's why they're 12th in the league right now, and Steve Clifford's a damn good coach, and they don't commit fouls, and they don't give up a lot of offensive rebounds and stuff, and when you have MKG, who's great, I guess there's a chance you could step up there, but without Cody Zeller, that's going to hurt. And then offensively, they just don't have much of anything outside of Kemba. I mean, Nicholas Batum's efficiency has fallen off a cliff. Jeremy Lamb has at least become the guy who can initiate offense that people were hoping that he can be. I mean, Marvin Williams, he can play off of guys, but there's just not a whole lot of real offensive talent on this team, even if Dwight Howard's having himself a nice season. There just might not be a way that you can turn this around, and then you're faced with, maybe we just trade away Kemba Walker, and we can just get a rebuild going here. It would be unfortunate because I'm pretty sure without Kemba, they would have a tough time really, selling merchandise and tickets and all that stuff. But I don't know. I mean, what do you do if you're Charlotte? Do you just ride it out and hope you can re-sign him or not? Well, if you want to get ahead of the curve and consider trading the guy, I think you could get some decent stuff for Kemba. The first thing to think about is what teams would want him. I think the Denver Nuggets would definitely be on board with the idea of taking him. Jamal Murray, even if the potential looks good, he still is not really making threes in the NBA, and that is his calling card. So if those aren't going in, then what is he really doing for you? Emmanuel Mudiay seems like it's going to take a while for him to really just figure out how to be an NBA point guard on top of be better at finishing. And you got Paul Millsap, who's in his 30s, and I think Jokic is good enough to give you a real winner if he has the talent around him. I mean, Kemba Walker could be that. You look at Kemba with his shooting and scoring and all that, and the way he can initiate offense and potentially be a better playmaker, even if I don't know if it'll go up that much. Combined with Gary Harris, Wilson Chandler, Jokic, Millsap, or when Millsap comes back at least, I think that could be a team, I think that can be something. But at the same time, Denver's been good offensively this season. They've been rough on defense. Maybe they would think that getting Kemba would not be the answer. I don't know. They were in on Bledsoe. Some of that might have just been because of Bledsoe's defense. Who knows? Another team that I've seen when I tweeted about this earlier was the Spurs, actually. San Antonio is usually not ones to be in these sort of trade discussions like that, but he would definitely be an upgrade over Patty Mills or Tony Parker or whoever it be, and then it could put you in the position where you would have Kemba be your starting point guard, you could have Tony Parker be the backup, and then you still have DeJounte Murray waiting in the wing. I mean, that could be an idea that you go with. In terms of the fit, well, I think it's warranted to feel like, I don't know, does Kemba shoot the ball a little too much to where it would throw off what we have in Kawhi Leonard and LaMarcus Aldridge? Because they just got Aldridge really playing like Portland Aldridge this season. And, I mean, that's already going to be going down a little bit once Kawhi is back, just his shot attempts. And then if you throw Kemba Walker into that mix, it could be a little too much to adjust for. Now, if there's any team that's going to be able to adjust on the fly quickly, I mean, it's going to be the Spurs with Greg Popovich. And I could definitely picture a world where you got Kemba just running across screens and not having to do a million pick and rolls the way he does it with the Charlotte Hornets right now. And that could be a pretty difficult offense to defend. I mean, they're already very difficult to defend. As far as how a trade with it like that would work, I mean, if I'm Charlotte, I would want DeJounte Murray. If I'm the Spurs, I would not want to trade him. Would they really take Patty Mills? I mean, Mills doesn't really lead you onto a rebuild or anything, so then you'd have to probably throw some draft picks at them, which is usually not the type of thing San Antonio wants to do. The other thing is they do have some contracts that they have to make decisions about, because if you were going to re-sign Kemba Walker after next season, because Kawhi Leonard's player option is up at 2020, I think there's a decent chance that he would decline that and then take a super max contract. Danny Green's contract is up after 2019. Rudy Gay's is up after 2019. Kyle Anderson is up after this season, so they have to make a decision about him. There's a chance that you could just become too expensive of a team to where acquiring Kemba Walker just wouldn't really make sense just from a money standpoint. Who knows? I mean, the thing with San Antonio is if they want to go for a title at this time and they feel like to do that they would need that offensive burst that Kemba can give them to compete with the Rockets and the Warriors, then yeah, you'd make the move. But Kawhi Leonard's 26, so you do still have a bit of time here. I don't know. That would be an interesting thing for them. Potentially the Pistons, if this 6-game losing streak maintains itself, although I don't think Reggie Jackson has totally been the problem, and you could make the argument that he's been really damn good this year, or at least for stretches of this season so far. If the Knicks were willing to give up any of their first-round picks moving forward, which has gotten them in trouble in the past, but when you already have Porzingis and Ntilikina looks good, maybe that's one first-round pick that you'd be okay with giving up. You know, if you could turn this into like Kemba with Porzingis, which could potentially be like a really great offense, and then Ntilikina coming off the bench, that could be something. Although they don't really have a lot of like talent on the team that could be trade pieces. Plus, their contract situation is not exactly beautiful, so they would potentially be forced to move like maybe Lance Thomas, who's been playing good defense for them, and like Ron Baker, but I don't know if the Hornets would really be interested in that type of thing. I mean, unless you're going to give them Willie Hernan-Gomez or Doug McDermott, that's the type of thing, but, you know, you might want to keep those guys because they're young dudes with some talent. I'm basically just spitballing at this point because this isn't even an official rumor. This is just something that I'm kind of suspecting may be creeping up here. Charlotte's in a tough spot, man. They're not a good team, and their star players' contract is pretty close to running out here. You can either get ahead of the curve or you can hope that it's all going to be okay and he's going to re-sign. But even if he does re-sign, I don't know if Charlotte would be in a great position anyway, unless he and Malik Monk could form like this super dynamic offensive backcourt. I mean, that'd be cool, but the time, you know, the age of Kemba with the age of Malik, it just might not work out. You know what you don't want? You don't want to be the Atlanta Hawks, where you lose Al Horford and Paul Millsap for nothing. We'll just see. Charlotte's going to go the conservative route and basically do what I'm doing, or are they just going to hope that they can retain Kemba Walker? Who knows? But I would look to trade the guy, if I'm honest.